Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bridger Worlds podcast. I'm your host, Ioannis Kokkinos. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're on YouTube watching, thank you for tuning in. And if you're on one of the podcast platforms, thank you for tuning in as well. So today I want to talk about the human body. I want to talk about how sacred it is. I want to talk about how pivotal it is for the spiritual path and journey. I want to bring in some of my personal experiences and evolution of consciousness as far as how I used to perceive my body, how I perceive my body now. And basically, I'm recording this episode because the last 2 weeks I've been going through all kinds of energetic recalibrations, and obviously, it's taken a toll on my body. When we're moving through emotions, when we're moving through energies, when we're basically expanding, like opening into new energies and emotions, that will take a toll on the body because our body's used to a certain vibration, certain energies that it can hold, right? It says, like, this is what I'm familiar with, this is what I'm comfortable with, even though it may not be good for us, even though we may be holding on to, old life, things we need to let go of, things we need to release, but we're not because it's comfortable and it's familiar. So the body holds it, right? Holds it energetically. So when we're moving through our fields, when we're moving through emotions, when we are releasing and letting go, yes, we are creating space in the body, and the body opens, the body expands, and that also means it can hold more. So there's a sense of like recalibrating here, and that can manifest as aches and pains, muscle knots, and so on and so forth. Migraines, maybe headaches, depends on the person. It depends on the, of course, chakras as well, right? So the 7 chakras of the human body. For me, it's been a lot of low back, very tight hamstrings, knots in the pelvis, right? So for me, this is an indication of like root sacral chakra based, which is very on par with my healing journey, my spiritual journey, because these chakras are related to grounding, related to the material experience, and also emotions and our ability to hold emotions. So especially like root and sacral chakra, where, as I talked about in some episodes back, the root is the earth element, right? So we need that strong foundation. This is our first chakra, the first energy center that develops already from our time inside our mother's womb. And as that develops, then of course the following chakras start to develop as well. And the second chakra is the sacral chakra, which is water, which is emotion. It's our creative center. It's our life force center. It's our sexual center. They're very intimately connected. And it's quite symbolic, right? Because we need earth to hold water. If we go out to the sea, if we go on a beach, we can very well see the power and the energy of the water, right? If there are waves crashing against the shore, rocks, we really do witness and feel the power of these waves in the water. But all that is really only possible because of the seabed, right? That solid earth that is basically holding the ocean. And this is quite pivotal for our own energetic evolution because we need that earth to be able to hold our emotions in some sense. We do need to hold our life force. We do need to hold our creative energy, our sexual energy. And all this begins at the root chakra level, at the sacral chakra level. I guess that was a little tangent because I'm dealing with these lower centers. And obviously, there's a lot of clearing going on with the porn stuff. Obviously, podcasting and talking about it so openly has activated quite a few shadows. So it has been a process for me as well, moving through these energies as emotions, and it's taken a toll on my body. So this is why today I want to bring this to the table. I want to offer this. Bodily aches and pains. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice or telling you what to do as far as your body and your health are concerned. If you are dealing with serious or complicated issues, pains, and illnesses, please seek medical attention. But because the body is so intimately connected with our emotions, it goes without saying that if we are suffering at a physical level, at a bodily level, it's because we're also suffering emotionally. And sometimes it's still unconscious, right? Like our body can ache, our body can be in pain. We think we just do like a minor injury. Let's say we're walking or we're going down the stairs, we hit our foot, we hit our ankle, or we hit our shoulder up against the corner of the wall. But that is something in the body that's telling you this needs attention. And it's not just like the physical pain that obviously is attention activating, but it's like this part of the body, this, let's say, level of the body needs attention. So a lot of Eastern teachings talk about specific body parts of especially Chinese medicine, right? We have the meridians, we have the organs of the body that's are designated for specific emotions. We have the chakras and Kundalini yoga that signify different expressions of life force, right? So I'm not getting into all that in this episode. I don't even have like full blown knowledge to make an episode about that. But I just want to bring to the space an awareness around the importance and sacredness of the human body. Because for me, in my experience, as I'm still moving through my stuff, oh, it's a journey. Let me tell you, it's a journey. I'm here talking, I'm here teaching and guiding, but let me tell you, I'm very much in it just as much as you are. But the human body, my friends, is just incredible. There's a lot of conditioning out there. There's a lot of, unfortunately, religious programming, cultural programming that don't really give the body the attention and the importance and the emphasis that it needs. We need to see our body or perceive our body as literally our best friend. It does everything for us, right? If we're like, we're thinking, we have our thoughts, we're always like in thought mode, right? We're very much here, cerebral. We got to do this, we got to do that, I got to go here at this time. The body is kind of left behind in that sense, but it's actually the body that we are using, our body that we are utilizing to get everything done. And I don't think we're giving it enough attention collectively, culturally, as it deserves. So bringing in my journey and my personal experience, so like childhood was very much everything was very much unconscious, obviously, but I was very much addicted to like junk food and sugar. So I became very overweight. um I didn't really care about that until I reached high school, because obviously that was the time where I started to transition into my masculinity, my manhood. Obviously, there were boys there that were more developed already. They hit puberty. I was still very much like a soft, overweight boy that was like eating a lot of junk food. And I think for those of us who do become addicted to food, who do become addicted to sugar, is actually an indication that we are very much disassociated from our body. It's a paradox because we think, we're constantly eating, we're eating to get those highs, especially sugar, right? The sweetness. We get the high response of pleasure. And we think, well, at least in my case, I thought that I was in my body when I was eating all that junk food and sugar. But then obviously after doing the work and looking back and realizing I was actually very much not in my body, and I was eating the way that I was eating in order to, in a sense, feel my body. because I was so disconnected from it. There's an array of reasons why we turn to food and sugar. Obviously, it's for comfort, it's for pleasure, it's for safety, maybe even. But because of generational wounding, generational trauma, and the ancestral patterns that do get passed on in the bloodlines, I can't help but think that children who are more prone to eating a lot of junk, eating a lot of sugar for getting those highs is because they have absolutely no idea how to hold space for that kind of pain and wounding. There's a pain and wounding within themselves they can't name. They don't know why there is a pain in them or an emptiness in them or a wound in them. But this could be an indication of just ancestral trauma that's gotten passed on, and the child doesn't know how to hold it, doesn't know how to feel it, doesn't even know how to name it. That's how unconscious it is. So I think this was definitely the case for me. I didn't start to hate my body until I reached adolescence. And when I tell you hate, I'm a very passionate human being. I feel very deeply and intensely. So, like, the loathing and the hatred that I felt towards my body was like on a whole other level when I reached adolescence. And then this is when I started to watch pornography, and I started very much to compare myself to the male figures of pornography, because obviously they looked like gods in my eyes, right? They all have like these perfect, muscular, strong looking bodies. And here I was, this soft, overweight boy that was very much disconnected from his body already. Porn further disconnected it. So there was another addiction that came to the table, right? So I was still very much, yes, addicted to junk food and sugar. But then I added pornography to the equation, because this was also a means to witness the human body from behind the screen and kind of experiencing these emotions and these primal feelings vicariously, because I deemed myself unworthy to feel those feelings, to have those primal expressions because of my body. I hated my body. I didn't want to have anything to do with my body. And it's repercussions that I felt for many, many, many years after that, even after I quit watching pornography. I still deal with the repercussions of how much I hated and loathed my body. And really, why I'm bringing this to the table and why I'm expressing this today is because I just want to say that going in the opposite direction, going in the direction of my body, as an expression of self-love, self-nurturing, and self-care, has been an absolute game changer for me. And you don't have to have dealt with porn addiction, food addiction. I do believe any form of addiction is an indication of being disassociated from the human body, because addiction is about getting a surge of, compulsive way to feel like a lot of pleasure. And this speaks to disconnection. This speaks to disassociation. Addiction is the opposite of connection. And what is the connection we are really yearning for? Yes, we want to connect to each other and our environment and our world. But the ultimate connection that we want to experience is the connection with God, with the source, with our creator, energy, life force. Call it what you may. And when we are a part of creation as soul, we don't have a body, right? So when we incarnate into physical existence, we now have a body. And maybe this is like the most awkward, ridiculous, frustrating and annoying situation we can find ourselves to be in inside a human body, when we were just soul, spirit, merged and united with the oneness of all things. So maybe the body automatically and initially is a nuisance. So yes, we can experience things in our life that will maybe render us as opponents to our body. Maybe we have childhood situations where We don't learn how important and um, pivotal our body is. Maybe it's all unconscious as soon as we get here, right? There's an array of reasons why we may be disconnected and disassociated. But addiction is that surge of pleasure that renders us more connected, but it is an illusion. It is very surface level. It's not real because then we crash and we just chase the next hit, no matter what the addiction. And that is all for God. That is all for the source. And I think there might be a lot less addiction in the world once we know and realize that this right here is our home for now, right? So we are souls having a human experience through the human body. If we are these souls that are like living so uncomfortably and really resenting this home or this temporary home that we have, then yes, we might go out and chase all kinds of gratification and surge of pleasure in order to maybe reconnect from that place from which we came from. But we have to connect with our body, actually. Our body holds everything. I mean, it's truly, and maybe it's not that it's like a breakthrough that I've had these last 2 weeks, because as I said, I've been moving through it. I think it's just gotten so deeply ingrained within me now that like this is my fucking home. And huh, I just feel like unconditional love pouring out of me and within me just because I feel so connected to my body. And I'm getting a little emotional. I'm not going to edit this out because I just remember how much I used to hate my body. I became obsessed with physical training. I became a personal trainer. I studied exercise science, but it was never about like love for the body. It was always about the reflection in the mirror. Is about getting a six pack, getting jacked, getting big, getting muscular, which is nice. I'm still training. I'm still striving to, transform my body. I am a man and I love the masculine physique and I want to have the best body that I can have in this lifetime. But it's in some ways I was never able to get there because I had no love for my body. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. This is what was alive in me. So I want to offer you this, spirituality aside, everything aside. Just start connecting to your body. Start listening to what it has to say. Let me tell you, it will have the most wisdom and the most sacred messages for you. I've done meditations, I've done workshops, I've done ecstatic dance, emotional release exercises. These spaces and these experiences have always led me to the most profound moments of revelation when I'm deeply connected to my body. And guess what? As men, we need to do this even more so because I think there's more of a green light or more of a acceptance in the women's work field, men's work, and being so intimately connected to the human body may seem as, I don't know, feminine, may seem as irrelevant or not important, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Even as men, we need to be in our bodies. As men, we need to have that energy of moving forward, taking action, getting things done, feeling primal when necessary, right? So obviously I talked about connecting to the cock, connecting to the phallus, connecting to that energy of the wild man, the dark masculine. And this starts with emotion. This starts with letting ourselves feel. That's really what the body wants from us. We can be so disassociated from the body that when we actually start to take a few moments and come back to the body just to listen to what it has to say, we will realize how much we've been ignoring it, how much we've abandoned it, how much we've neglected it. And this is the beginning. This is the beginning. We even know this with the root chakra, the first chakra that develops, our first energy center. I have a right to be in a body. I have the first basic right of being here, and being in body is the root chakra. So when we start to do this work as adults, we're actually going back into our root chakra, which is where the most unconscious, the most denied, and the most rejected reside. And this is where we get to really basically renovate our foundation renovation. And once we renovate that foundation, obviously, energetically speaking, we experience rebirth, but we can literally have a whole new sense of self because we are so much more in our body. Our right to be here and be in body is so much more present and alive than before. I'm going to leave it here. I think that's enough food for thought. Thank you for joining me. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can leave comments, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about your journey, no matter what spiritual practices and spiritual knowledge you've gained. How have you incorporated your body, and have you incorporated your body in your journey? I will be back next week with another episode. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like, subscribe button. I so greatly appreciate that. It motivates me. If you're on one of the podcast platforms, you can send me a text. Please share the content in any way you feel called. If you feel like somebody needs to hear this information, I'll see you next Thursday. And as always, please remember that you are the medicine and I am just the messenger. Thank you very much.